I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. The grand jury that will be hearing evidence in the criminal case against Donald Trump in Fulton County, Georgia, and ultimately voting on whether or not to indict Donald Trump has been officially selected earlier this morning on Tuesday. The grand jury is officially impaneled in Fulton County, Georgia, and it will be doing its work to determine whether to indict Donald Trump for his election interference in Georgia during the 2020 election. Let me explain to you the grand jury selection process, because lots of people always have questions. Well, how does a grand jury work? How are people selected for a grand jury? Well, it's very much like regular jury duty. You get a letter, you show up to the courtroom, and then there is a selection process to be sure that you could be fair and impartial in hearing the evidence. The judge will usually tell the grand jury that the term will be lasting longer than a typical jury. However, grand juries do not always meet every single day like a regular jury when it's set for a trial. Usually a grand jury will meet a few days a week or at certain special times. May meet every day for a given period of time. In Fulton County, Georgia, a grand jury is composed of 26 grand jurors. 23 are actual grand jurors, 3 are alternates in case one of the grand jurors gets excused or gets sick or is otherwise not available to continue their service. In order for an indictment to issue, there has to be 16 grand jurors present when a vote to indict is taking place, and there has to be 12 votes in favor of an indictment for an indictment to ultimately issue in Fulton County. There are different rules in different states, but this is the way it works in Fulton County, Georgia. What went down on Tuesday morning, you had Fani Willis and her other lawyers from the district attorney's office showed up. You had the presiding judge, Judge Robert McBurney was there, and then you had prospective members of the grand jury. Judge McBurney explained to them what their responsibilities were going to be and explained that the purpose of a grand jury is to be a check to make sure that not every single case that a district attorney wants to bring is always actually charged and a person is ultimately hit with an indictment, that a grand jury should hear the evidence and determine ultimately if there is the appropriate standard of probable cause for an indictment to issue. And if the grand jury indicts, then the potential individual or individuals will be indicted and charged and go through the criminal process. This is the fourth judicial term within the Fulton County Superior Court District. There are different terms where different grand juries get brought in. Grand juries often hear multiple cases at the same time, so it isn't the case that this grand jury will necessarily only be hearing the case involving Trump, although with a case of this import, it is possible that that may be what's taken place. There are actually 2 separate grand juries that were impaneled today, going through the typical process of making sure that the grand jurors could be fair and impartial. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis would probably ask them questions like, first, do you think you could be fair and impartial? Do you think that, and the judge would make sure they could be as well, that they didn't harbor certain biases against any particular party or any particular side that would make them not view the evidence through a fair and impartial lens. Then they would be selected. So 2 separate grand juries were impaneled. Of 26, only one of those grand juries will ultimately be hearing the Trump case. And look, the Fulton County District Attorney is a busy office, and every day there are cases that go before the court systems there that range from violent crimes to sexual assault crimes to financial crimes and white-collar crimes to you name it. It runs the gamut. And of course, you'll have, this case as well. It's one of the number of cases that are prosecuted by the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. Now, what's the process now that a grand jury's been selected after this 3-hour selection process? Well, you will recall previously there was a special purpose grand jury that was impaneled, which is different than the grand jury, which was currently impaneled. A special purpose grand jury, it's something unique under Georgia law. It is a criminal investigative body, but it doesn't have the power to indict. It has the power just to make a report and recommendations about indictment, but witnesses can be subpoenaed like in a normal criminal grand jury.
Support for Meidas is brought to you by Manscaped, who has the best in men's below-the-waist grooming products. That's right, their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Join over 8 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code Meidas at manscaped.com. Look, everyone knows that you have to be careful when dealing with the family jewels. You definitely don't want to use an old crusty electric trimmer. Yikes! That's why I'm so excited to partner with Manscaped. Manscaped's Performance Package 4.0 has arrived, and oh man, it's a game changer. Inside this package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker, ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance Boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold your goodies. First off, the Lawnmower 4.0, this trimmer is the future of grooming, and dare I say the greatest below-the-waist trimmer ever? Their 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 is waterproof and also has 4,000K LED spotlights you'll need for a more precise shave. And because this trimmer is waterproof, you can say goodbye to the mess on the bathroom floor. You thought that was good, but want to take your grooming game to the next level? The Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer. The Weed Whacker is also waterproof and provides proprietary skin-safe technology, which helps reduce nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate nose holes. Their Crop Preserver deodorant and Crop Reviver toner will change the way you approach your hygiene routine. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. Bring your comfort and boxers to another level. It's time to take care of yourself, so go to manscaped.com and get 20% off plus free shipping with the code Meidas. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code Meidas. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.
So Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis previously subpoenaed about 75 individuals that went before the special purpose grand jury. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis also subpoenaed tons and tons of documents and emails and text messages. And ultimately, the special purpose grand jury made a number of recommendations of who to indict. That report and recommendation remains under seal, although portions of it have become unsealed, but not any real substantive portions. We believe that Donald Trump, people in Trump's inner circle, and the so-called fake electors in Georgia are the people who the special purpose grand jury recommended for indictment. So one of the first things, as the grand jury of 26 individuals, 23 regular grand jurors, 3 alternates, are impaneled, that Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is going to do. She's going to take that report and recommendation. She's going to take the prior witness statements and transcripts and evidence that was developed before the special purpose grand jury, and she's going to bring that right before the grand jury and say, here is what the special purpose grand jury recommended to you. But also, during the gap in time between when the special purpose grand jury issued its report and recommendations and now, on July 11th, the selection of the grand jury, Fani Willis has been talking to targets of her criminal investigation and giving them a last opportunity to essentially flip and to cooperate. So we have heard about a lot of these fake electors who put their names on fraudulent electoral certificates in Georgia, claiming that Donald Trump won the election when President Biden actually won the state of Georgia, then candidate Biden. And they sent it to former Vice President Pence, then Vice President Pence, to be counted. And Pence never went along with this scheme. Many of those individuals are now cooperating with the Fulton County District Attorney Office's investigation and have been granted a limited immunity based on prior reports and court filings. So possible that these individuals will now go before the grand jury and provide additional information that was not before the special purpose grand jury. And I think you'll see some additional witnesses as well, other than the fake electors, go before the grand jury that may be important to Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis's criminal investigation. We believe this will take place for another 2 or 3 weeks. And then we believe that there will be a criminal indictment. We think that the grand jury will vote, that at least 12 members will vote to criminally indict Donald Trump sometime by late July through early August. I think before August 18th, we're going to see Donald Trump and many others in Fulton County be criminally indicted right around that time. So I think you'll see it the first or second week of August based on the current time schedule. And Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis has alerted court staff and her office and the sheriff's department to also prepare for high-profile indictments around that time period. So that's obviously referring to the likely indictment of Donald Trump. And just so you remember the specific crimes that have been investigated by Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, there's, of course, Donald Trump's threats and extortion directed towards the Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, the Republican Secretary of State. Find me the 11,780 votes, or else bad things are going to happen to you, Brad. That's one. Number two, you've got the fake elector scheme, which I talked about earlier in the video. Trump and his inner circle creating this conspiracy across the country, but in Georgia as one of the states, where MAGA Republicans loyal to Trump affixed their names to fraudulent electoral certificates, sent that to Pence to be counted. Pence didn't go along with it, but they submitted fraudulent documents to interfere with the 2020 election. Three, you've got essentially stealing election data from local election offices. A MAGA Republican who chaired the Republican Party for Coffee County, Georgia, let in forensic analysts who work for Trump's campaign into the Coffee County, Georgia county election offices, and gave access to voter data, which was unlawful, and you're not allowed to do that. And that was then manipulated by the Trump campaign. And then you have potential broader conspiracies that the Trump campaign was engaged in throughout the rest of the country. And there may be financial crimes within that as well. So we expect there to be a wide-ranging indictment on those topics, and that will be, all that evidence will now go before the grand jury, which was seated today. 26, 23 are the actual grand jurors, 3 alternates. You need 16 present for a vote. You need 12 votes to indict. There's your lesson on the grand jury process in Fulton County, Georgia. There's your lesson in how the grand jury will be receiving evidence in this case, and ultimately my predictions backed by the data of when we will see indictments. There you have it, of Donald Trump and his co-conspirators. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers thanks to your support. Check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Wherever you get audio podcasts, subscribe to the MeidasTouch podcast and have an excellent day.
Hey Midas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.